Picture this: you lie down, set your alarm, and do the math. You wake up exactly 8 hours later, you've hit the golden number. You should feel like a superhero, right? But instead, you drag yourself out of bed, your brain feels like it is wrapped in thick fog, and you are reaching for your second cup of coffee before you have even fully opened your eyes. Meanwhile, you see people online bragging about their perfect 8 hour streaks, and you cannot help but wonder, what is wrong with me? For decades, the wellness industry has hammered one simple, universal commandment into our heads: get 8 hours of sleep. But what if that advice is not just incomplete, but fundamentally flawed? What if millions of us are driving ourselves crazy chasing a mathematical target, while completely missing the biological point of recovery?
That is exactly the trap modern society has fallen into. We have reduced one of the most complex, sophisticated biological repair systems in human physiology down to a simple math equation. And it is arguably one of the most widespread misconceptions in health today. The human body does not operate on a fixed universal timesheet. Biology is deeply individualized. When we look at the science of recovery, we are seeing that sleep duration alone absolutely does not define sleep quality. It is a classic case of measuring the wrong metric. We keep asking people how many hours they slept, when the real question we should be asking is, how effectively did your nervous system actually recover?
That is such a massive paradigm shift because we treat sleep like a transaction. I put in 8 hours of unconsciousness. I expect to withdraw 8 hours of energy, but you are saying the nervous system does not accept that currency. So let us trace this back. Where did this magical 8 hour rule even come from? Was it handed down by some ancient biological authority, or did we just make it up?
It is mostly a byproduct of population-level statistics and the Industrial Revolution. When researchers look at massive groups of adults, they observe a bell curve. On average, the majority of the population tends to function reasonably well within a range of about 7 to 9 hours. From a public health messaging standpoint, 8 is a nice, round, easy-to-remember number right in the middle. But an average is not a biological law. Think of it like shoe sizes. If the average shoe size in a city is a size 9, you do not force the entire population to wear a size 9. Some people will be in agony because it is too tight, and others will be tripping over themselves because it is too loose.
That is a brilliant way to put it. We are basically forcing everyone into a size 9 sleep schedule and wondering why so many people are limping through their days.
Precisely. We are treating the human body like a factory machine that just needs to be powered down for a specific quota of time, but the body is an adaptive, dynamic system. Some individuals naturally require slightly more sleep, maybe close to 9 hours, due to their genetic makeup or metabolic demands. Others are perfectly optimized at 6.5 or 7 hours. When we turn a generalized guideline into an absolute commandment, we create biological conflict.
So let us talk about that conflict. Let us say someone actually manages to stay in bed, eyes closed for 8 solid hours, but they still wake up feeling completely wrecked. What is happening under the hood? If they put the time in, why is the body refusing to recover?
Because being unconscious is not the same thing as experiencing restorative sleep. This brings us to the concept of sleep architecture. Imagine your brain is an office building, and sleep is the nighttime cleaning and repair crew. If you lock the doors of the building for 8 hours, but the cleaning crew spends the whole night running around putting out small fires instead of actually cleaning, the building is going to be a mess the next day. The same goes for your body. Sleep architecture involves the structured cycling of light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. It requires circadian alignment and, crucially, the balancing of your autonomic nervous system. You can technically be asleep for 8 hours, but if that sleep is fragmented by stress, poor temperature regulation, or microarousals, you are missing out on the deep, restorative phases.
So 8 hours of shallow stressed sleep is actually giving you less biological value than, say, 6.5 hours of uninterrupted, deep, stable sleep.
Without question. During deep sleep, your body is doing the heavy lifting. It is repairing tissue, synthesizing hormones, and your brain is literally flushing out neurotoxins. If your nervous system is agitated, maybe because you were doom scrolling on your phone right before bed, or you are carrying chronic daily stress, your body stays in a state of hypervigilance. You might be asleep, but your nervous system is sleeping with one eye open. The biological restoration simply does not happen.
That makes so much sense. It is like leaving your phone plugged into a broken charger for 8 hours. The screen is off, it looks like it is charging, but you wake up and the battery is still at 20%.
Exactly. And to make matters more complicated, we also have to factor in chronotypes. This is another massive piece of the puzzle that the 8-hour myth completely ignores.
Yes, let us get into chronotypes, because society heavily favors the early bird. We praise the people who wake up at 5 a.m. to grind, and we implicitly label people who sleep in as lazy. But that is actually genetic, isn't it?
It is heavily influenced by genetics and your natural circadian biology. A chronotype is simply your body's natural preference for when it wants to sleep and wake. You have your early birds, your night owls, and those in between. The issue is that modern society, school systems, and corporate schedules are almost entirely built around the early bird chronotype. If you take a natural night owl and force them to sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., they might technically be in bed for 8 hours, but those hours are completely misaligned with their biological clock.
So even if they get the full 8 hours, the timing of those hours means they are swimming against the current of their own biology.
Precisely. Circadian alignment matters just as much as duration. Your body anticipates certain physiological processes based on light exposure, temperature drops, and hormonal rhythms. When you force sleep during a window, when your body is biologically programmed to be alert, the quality of that sleep degrades. You miss out on the optimal windows for deep sleep and REM. So, two different people could sleep the exact same 8 hours, but experience completely different recovery outcomes simply because of when those hours occurred.
It is wild to think about how much unnecessary guilt people carry about this, feeling like a failure because they cannot adapt to a 5 a.m. lifestyle when their DNA is literally telling them to operate on a different schedule. But thankfully, it feels like we are finally entering an era where we do not have to guess anymore. Wearable technology is completely changing the conversation. We are moving away from just looking at the clock on the wall to actually looking at what the body's doing.
It is a profound revolution in health intelligence. For the first time in human history, millions of people have access to continuous, personalized physiological data. We are no longer relying on generic averages. With advanced wearables, we can observe resting heart rate, respiratory patterns, temperature fluctuations, and sleep staging in real time. We are shifting from a paradigm of how long did I sleep to how well did I recover. And the cornerstone of that recovery data is something called heart rate variability, or HRV.
I want to camp out on HRV for a minute because it seems to be the holy grail metric right now. Everyone in the high performance and longevity space is obsessed with it. But for someone who has never heard the term, what exactly is heart rate variability and why does it tell a better story than the hours we spend in bed?
It is a fascinating metric. Most people assume that a healthy heart beats like a metronome, perfectly evenly spaced, but that is actually false. A healthy, resilient heart has slight variations in the time intervals between each beat. That variation is HRV, and what it really measures is the flexibility of your autonomic nervous system. Your nervous system has two main branches, the sympathetic, which is your fight or flight stress response, and the parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest recovery response.
So they are like the gas pedal and the brake pedal of the body.
Exactly. When you are healthy and well recovered, your body can seamlessly switch between the gas and the brake. That flexibility results in a high HRV. It means your nervous system is resilient and adaptable. But when you are chronically stressed, overtrained, or poorly recovered, your body gets stuck heavily on the gas pedal. The heart beats rigidly, and your HRV plummets.
Wow, so that is the real lie detector for recovery. You could sleep for 9 hours, but if you wake up and your HRV is in the tank, your body is screaming that it is still under threat.
You hit the nail on the head. Two people can sleep for identical durations, yet exhibit dramatically different HRV profiles. One might show a rising HRV, indicating their parasympathetic system took over and deeply restored their cellular function. The other might show a suppressed HRV, meaning their fight or flight system was active all night. That tells us that biologically, they experience those nights in completely different ways. Recovery is not just time asleep. Recovery is a physiological adaptation, and the nervous system is the ultimate boss of that process.
That really puts modern life into perspective, because we are not just dealing with physical exhaustion anymore. We are dealing with an unprecedented cognitive and emotional load. We have artificial light blaring into our retinas at midnight, chronic work stress, the endless dopamine loop of social media, and metabolic issues from modern diets. It is no wonder our nervous systems are stuck on the gas pedal. We are asking our bodies to power down from a state of hyperstimulation in a matter of minutes.
And that is exactly why modern humans are sleeping, but not truly recovering. Age also plays a massive role here. As we age, our sleep architecture naturally changes. Deep sleep duration tends to decrease, and our circadian rhythms become less stable. When you combine natural aging with the modern stressors you just mentioned, you create a perfect storm that impairs recovery quality, even when the duration appears adequate on paper. This distinction between sleeping and recovering is going to define the future of health science.
But here is the irony that I see happening now. As we get access to all this incredible data, people are starting to stress out about the data itself. You wake up, you check your wearable app, you see your sleep score is low, and suddenly your day is ruined. You spend the whole day anxious about how you're going to sleep that night, which of course ruins your sleep that night. It is a vicious cycle.
It is a very real phenomenon, and the medical community has a term for it now: orthosomnia. It is the unhealthy obsession with achieving perfect sleep metrics. People become so hyperfixated on their sleep scores, their deep sleep percentages, and their HRV numbers that the anxiety of tracking actually activates their sympathetic nervous system. They are literally stressing themselves out of a good night's rest.
That is the ultimate paradox. The tool designed to help you relax is keeping you in fight or flight.
Exactly. And this is where the philosophy of interpretation becomes critical. Data should guide your awareness, not create obsession. Biology is inherently dynamic. You are not a robot. Some nights your sleep will naturally vary. You might have a late dinner, a stressful day at work, or you might just be fighting off a mild virus, and your numbers will dip. That is not a failure. That is just your body adapting to its environment. The goal is not to have perfect data every single night. The goal is to build biological resilience so that when you do have a suboptimal night, your body can bounce back effortlessly.
I love that. Data as a compass, not a whip. It changes the whole relationship we have with our health. We are moving away from this punitive mindset of, I failed because I only got 6 hours, to a more curious mindset of, let me understand what my nervous system needs today. It really makes me wonder what the next decade of sleep science looks like. If we are finally abandoning the 8-hour myth, what takes its place?
The future is undoubtedly personalized biological recovery. Medicine and wellness are shifting away from generic rules. With the integration of AI and advanced wearable systems, we are going to be able to help individuals understand their own unique physiological blueprints. Imagine a system that does not just tell you that you slept poorly, but understands your specific stress load, your unique circadian timing, and your nervous system resilience, and then provides actionable intelligence tailored only to you. We are moving toward individualized physiological intelligence.
It is the difference between reading a generic horoscope and getting a highly specific medical diagnostic. We are finally giving the body the respect it deserves, treating it as the incredibly sophisticated machine that it is.
Because sleep is not merely unconsciousness. It is not just turning the lights off and waiting for morning. It is one of the most complex, vital biological repair systems in human physiology. And the future of our health, our longevity, and our daily performance depends entirely on understanding that system more intelligently.
So perhaps the goal was never simply 8 hours. Perhaps the real goal, the one we should have been chasing all along, is deep recovery, true circadian alignment, nervous system restoration, and ultimately, biological resilience. It is time we stop counting the hours and start listening to what the body is actually telling us.
I could not agree more. When we change how we measure rest, we change how we live.
This is OXYZEN Health Intelligence.